And Marty, I wanted to ask you this: what do you think about Bill saying he want the same thing Ryan Garcia got?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, and like I always am. Um, Bill Haney and Devin Haney do not pose the demand as a Ryan Garcia. Let's be clear here. Ryan Garcia has 10 million followers on social media alone. That's number one. Uh,
Alone.
number two, I don't know who that is. Talking. Okay, if y'all can mute your phone, I hear a lot of feedback. That's alone. Not saying that it always translates into pay-per-view buys, but apparently it does. When it comes down to Devin Haney, and we have to be clear on something. Devin Haney in his last few fights, according to his dad Bill Haney, he said they made, I believe he said 1.3 million to fight Lomachenko. And now, of course, we see that he made 1.5 million to fight Regis. And Regis got paid 1.5 million. So you can't come up with your last fight or your last several fights not even generating 2 million, but you want the same amount of money that Ryan Garcia got. Because if you say that, and this is to Bill Haney and anybody else listening that's a fan of the Haneys or whoever, listen to take it from me, the manager. If Bill Haney's going to say that, then he can't equally criticize Matias's team, and I mentioned this yesterday on my channel and the day before yesterday by saying, "Hey, what you mean you want 4 million to fight my son? You overpricing yourself. What was the last payday that you got in your last fight?" And we were told that Matias Camp said 250,000. So Bill Haney was like, "Well, you got 250,000, nigga. How you gonna ask for 4 million?" Well, that's the same concept he need to apply to himself. If your son ain't generate no more than over 2 million from a guaranteed contract with a promoter, how you gonna ask for 20 to 30 with Ryan Garcia? It's the same principle, and we got to hold him accountable just like we do everybody else. So no, he ain't gonna get that because we know Tank is the A side. And I have to say this because I know people are going to say, "Come on, Manager Marty, stop with this A side." Let's be clear on something. They both fought in Vegas. Tank fought in Vegas, and Devin fought in Vegas. And I'm not let me be clear. I'm talking about in their both of their last fights. When Tank Davis fought in Vegas, he fought at the T-Mobile Arena. When Devin Haney fought in Vegas, he fought at the MGM Grand. Y'all can go do your research and see what the maximum capacity is of both venues. And on top of that, to go to the Lomachenko Devin Haney fight, to sit ringside or close to ringside, it was $1,200. Well, according to the T-Mobile Arena, when Tank fought Ryan, shit, you couldn't even get a nosebleed seat in the highest section in T-Mobile for 1,200. So that proves my point when we talk about generating revenue. So
I got.
Hey,
yes,
Manager
he should.
Marty.
Yes.
Well, I want
I'm
to
gonna
ask you a question
I'll
about
add
that real
to it.
quick, Manager Marty. Real quick.
Yeah.
What do you think
Okay.
about Bill Haney saying that Mayweather era is over? All that overcharging people to watch your fights and shoving it down their throat, that's over with. Now, when I heard that, I felt like, why would you devalue Devin like that? Because people spend their time and their money where they see value. If they see Gervonta Davis valuable enough to spend $500 for a ticket, they're going to spend $500 for a ticket. So, do you never plan on your son being that valuable to people? Why would you devalue Devin that way? Like, I didn't understand that, and I'm just wondering, what do you think? Like, my perception might have been off about that.
My perception is very simple. And I
No,
know
you
people
right.
going to think, I hear feedback. My perception is very simple. And I know people are going to say I'm being too critical, but we got to keep it all the way real. I was a little bit disappointed in Bill Haney, personally speaking, and professionally speaking, for speaking down by saying my son did more than Mayweather did when he was 25 and he's better than Mayweather. See, he can't speak on like that because now you devaluing and you disrespecting the Mayweathers because we got to always keep it 100 when we talk about Devin Haney and the Mayweathers. The Mayweathers, and I'm including Floyd and his father, Senior. You know what I mean? They put in time and work with Devin Haney. You don't have to take my word for it. Go on YouTube and see who was helping him, teaching him the shoulder roll and some of the moves that he's doing on defense with the focus mitch training. Mayweather Senior, and this was back when Devin Haney was in the Mayweather's gym. You see what I mean? So you can't throw shots at the Mayweathers when they help make a contribution to your son's career. Also, the Mayweather effect hasn't been shown to Devin yet. And what I mean by that is he keep chasing belts. See, when people say the Mayweather effect, I don't know what their definition of the Mayweather effect is. My definition of the Mayweather effect is you don't need no belts to generate revenue. Tank Davis don't need no belts. Devin Haney still chasing them. So you never felt the experience of having the Mayweather effect. So the Mayweather effect should always be here because that's how fighters generate the most revenue. And so when I hear somebody talk about this Mayweather effect, you can't say the Mayweather effect is dead or is gone or that era is no longer there when you keep bouncing around getting signed exclusive guaranteed purses from this promoter to that promoter to this promoter and back to that promoter again. Y'all see my point?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
funny
okay.
that you bring
Because
up
Yeah,
I
Mayweather.
see it. I see it.
because
and not to
because
mention the
here's the
Mayweather
thing.
curse.
Now,
As soon as you
And,
say something
and,
bad
and,
about Mayweather,
Yeah.
you lose your next
And,
fight.
and a
and
lot of
here's the
people
yeah,
fight
that's
the
true.
way they fight because of
And
Mayweather.
and, and here's also the thing. Let's be clear on something. When we talk about the Mayweather effect, Mayweather was signed to one promoter, and after he was signed to that one promoter, it was all the way up from there. And you know why? And I say this time and time again: the foundation I built this YouTube channel off of, and that is good representation in this business is priceless. And when the Haneys get on the phone with the representation over there, I can assure you that this fight with Tank Davis is going to be secured within 48 hours. In other words, is what I'm saying is we can't we can't stand on one thing and then when it's time for us to follow through with it, we back out. And what I mean by that is this: if you're going to say the Mayweather effect is no longer here, and you're charging people to watch you fight and all that. Let's be clear on something. Devin Haney needs to improve his level of competition. Everybody on the panel knows this. People in the chat know this. Now, it's the standard of the boxing business that allows Devin Haney to do what he's doing, and I'm proud of the young man. But at the same time, you can't say all of this stuff about Mayweather when your level of competition was nowhere near Mayweather's. Hands
Manager
down.
Marty, Manager Marty.
Hands down. Yes, sir.
Didn't before when this fight was first announced, didn't Mayweather have a fight scheduled the same night? But he said, you know what, I'm not gonna have mine the same night because I don't want to get in the way of this man's money.
The
Nah, you
same
said
night
that
of
you only did that because you caught
who?
backlash.
I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Wait,
I
wait.
thought that
What was? What,
I
oh,
think
I'm sorry.
didn't Mayweather wasn't Mayweather supposedly having a fight the same night as the Haney program fight, but he decided not to have it the same night.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
they
You know what?
canceled that. They
I
canceled
don't
Yeah,
that.
know.
yeah, they canceled it because he was like wanted the young man to make his money.
Man,
Like
you
you
know what
they
I'm
had
know,
thinking about
multiple
nobody
things
gonna
planned up, but one thing I did want to bring up in reference to Tank and Haney, as far as like their drawing power, right? Haney just had his fight over in his hometown area in San Francisco. Now we don't quite have the gate receipts for that, but Manager Marty did kind of like bring up the ticket prices for that. But what we do know is that Tank Davis had a fight over in Washington D.C. and that broke a record in the Verizon Center or whatever they want to call it now for the gate, $5 million. So
yeah,
also got
And
to take that into account.
and not only that, but he also broke the gate at the Barclays Center, a record that Danny Garcia has set twice. He broke it. And what I'm saying is that Tank Davis, you can put Tank Davis in an arena in D.C., Brooklyn, New York, Vegas, California, down south. Remember, he fought down south in
Atlanta,
Atlanta and
twice in
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
So
Canada.
you,
You can put him in
yeah.
Canada.
So you can put Tank Davis in an arena all across the world. But the thing about it is, we haven't seen a lot of Devin Haney fights since he's been moving up in the ranking system outside of the West Coast. There's a reason why you only see him fighting in Cali, well, this time Cali, but mostly Vegas. There's a reason for that. Okay. And I'm talking about from a business perspective. And so what I'm saying is you can't make these high demands unless you know the business and projection and protection. And that goes with any fighter, not just the Haney's or Tank. So we got to understand the business. And so the thing about it is very, very simple. It's either you two guys are going to fight or you not. I told y'all this before when Crawford and Spence was going through this, and people were asking me, what's the holdup? I kept it very simple in the very beginning of this negotiation between those two, and I'm going to do it now. When two fighters in this business want to fight, I can guarantee you this. When two fighters want to fight, they fight. And when one fighter don't or both fighters don't want to fight, they don't fight. It's very, very
Right.
simple. And I'm not saying that money is never the issue because most of the time it is. But when you making 1.5 and 1.5 and you sign guaranteed contracts with this promoter, that promoter, and this promoter, the live gate and pay-per-view buys and all that don't mean anything. And I say that because if you're not getting no bread off of it, you can't use it as leverage.
But Marty, you sure that he signed a
If a
guaranteed
fighter is
contract for
signed,
1.5?
oh,
My fault, I mean to
let
cut
me
you
let
off.
me let me let me let me finish. It's all right. It's cool. If a fighter is signed exclusively to a promoter and they got a guaranteed purse, and you don't have to take my word for it if you don't believe me, believe the words of Crawford himself. He recognized what I was trying to tell Crawford as when I got on YouTube, and I'm saying about Haney and whoever else. When you sign exclusively to a promoter and you have a guaranteed contract, minimum or maximum, that's all you're going to get for your services rendered. Whatever your contract states you're going to get paid, that's it. So ticket sales or live gate and pay-per-view buys and ancillary rights and closed circuit, that doesn't apply to a fighter who has a guaranteed In other words, there is no back end. You get what you negotiate, what your contract was negotiated for as a flat fee. And that's what Errol Spence was trying to explain to Crawford when he was talking about he had the $25 million hedge fund. I'm sure y'all remember that. And Spence's first question to him was, what about the back end? But Crawford couldn't understand that language of back end because he was used to a guaranteed contract. I've explained this process before, and it applies here now. So what I'm saying is if the Haneys are used to getting guaranteed money, guaranteed purses by being exclusively signed to a promoter, they don't get all the other revenue benefits because they had a flat fee. So they can't use that in a leverage against a guy like Tank Davis, who's accustomed to getting back end money without the guaranteed purses, because he's not signed exclusively to a promoter. You understand my point?
And just
Yeah,
like
but
you said,
so what's the difference between that and Spence being signed being fighting under TGB Promotions?
Say that again.
Spence
I
fights
said, what's
under
the
Man
difference?
Down promotion.
Well, the DHP doesn't Devin Haney fight on the DHP?
Yeah, there's a difference, and I'm going to tell you right now, and I don't want to hold the panel up because I got to go real soon. The difference is that they're signed to exclusively to a promoter. In other words, let me see if I break it down like this. Rockefeller Records, we know who they are: Dame Dash, Jay Z, Kareem Biggs, right? When they did a deal with Def Jam had a distribution deal with Universal. So in other words, a couple people got to get paid first before Rockefeller got paid after the record sales. It's the same concept. In other words, is when the Haneys are saying Devin Haney Promotions, I think that's a good thing to have that. But the issue is going to become an issue when you are using Devin Haney Promotions as your own promotional company, but you're signing an exclusive promotional deal with a promoter who's guaranteeing you a purse, but also going to get 30% of your purse. That's a little different when you have like a guy like a Errol Spence Jr. who has man down promotions, but he's not exclusively signed to TGB Promotions. That's why he's able to get that back end money. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. Like in other words, is watch this. When Devin Haney, even though they had Devin Haney Promotions, they signed a 3-fight exclusive deal with Top Rank to get those Cambosas in that Lomachenko fight. That means that they signed an exclusive 3-fight deal. Exclusive. That means that Top Rank and Bob Arum was their promoter, was Devin Haney's promoter. And that's the difference between Man Down Promotions. He's not exclusively signed to TGB. Spence, I'm referring to. You know what I mean? So That's the big difference because now you have an exclusive contract with a promoter. There's stipulations in that contract, and I'm not going to go into all the stipulations that's standard across the business. But one of those things is a percentage of your purse based on the promoter putting up most of the money. You know what I mean? And that's why the promoters guarantee you a purse because you don't have to make no back end revenue. That's how they save and grow their business. So that's the difference. You can't talk big talk and then go sign an exclusive deal with a promoter. I mean, because the Mayweather effect says don't sign exclusively to a promoter. You know what I mean?
But isn't that what technically all PBC fighters are? Aren't they exclusive to PBC and TGB?
Why
No,
y'all saying y'all?
I'm confused.
no.
Why you
So
say
here's
y'all?
so here's the thing. So Al Heyman is the manager. Al Heyman is not a promoter. He is a manager. And what
Quote
basically
unquote.
happened, Al Heyman is a manager. I didn't hear what somebody said, but Al Heyman is a manager. And what basically happens is Al Heyman, as a manager, who's 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 got the fighters signed under him, under his banner, right? PBC PBC is the name of a promotional company based on TV, right? Based on production value, right? So Al Heyman got he's managing the fighters. They're not signed exclusively to a promoter. That's the difference. They're signed to a manager. It's just like if I'm managing a fighter. If I'm managing a fighter, my fighter doesn't necessarily have to be under this banner of this promotional company because he or she is fighting on his promotional company's card. I'll give you a classic example of this. David Benavidez. David Benavidez is not signed to TGB Promotions. He's signed to Samson Promotions. Samson Lukowicz. You might have seen him 1,000 times and didn't know who he was, but Samson Lukowicz is David Benavidez's promoter. But of course, David Benavidez fights under the banner of PBC. All right. So that's how the business works. You know what I mean? But the point that I'm making is with DHP, you have your own promotional company. So if you're exclusively signed to a promoter, you're actually allowing that promoter to guarantee you a purse, but also you got to give some of that purse up because that's how the business works. Because the promoter is putting up the funds and they should get, a percentage of what's coming in.